had enough Real Madrid. How about some quick hits instead?
Let's go, Gab.
Alexander Isak issued a statement claiming that, quote, promises were broken and trust is lost. I love how he uses the passive voice. And of course, he was referring to Newcastle. The club hit back, saying they never promised to let him leave this summer. Obviously, there was been the supposed bid from Liverpool.
Yeah.
At least we finally heard from him.
Yeah, we did. And it's the kind of response that you expected. Well, the kind of statement you expected from him. And the response that you expected from Newcastle, who also said, like, you know, the whatever you can say, the valuation that we have for you was never met anyway. So they closed the door completely. That was not very open before. Like I said, I think it's way above Eddie Howe. I mean, it's a club that doesn't have a CEO or sporting director per se right now anyway at Newcastle. So the decisions are very much being taken at the top of who owns the club. And I just...
Who, Al-Ramayan, you think? He's not busy playing golf?
No, I think the Saudis have decided that he was not going to leave, so he's not going to leave. But I think something can still happen between now and the end of the transfer window in 10 days. I guess if Liverpool make a second offer, much improved. But the difficulty that Newcastle have as well to find a replacement is not helping.
Can I just say this from a communications perspective? And I don't really care, but I do communicate for a living. I hate it. If you are going to speak, you either stay silent, or if you're going to speak, you speak precisely. Because when you say promises were broken and trust is lost, that's been interpreted by some people as saying that he was going to get a new contract sort of a year ago with a release clause. Other people, of course, interpret it as saying you can go to Liverpool for this fee or whatever. Newcastle, were specific in what they promised back, but maybe this isn't what he's talking about.
Yeah.
Why all the confusion? Like I said, either stay silent,
yeah,
or come out with something very precise and don't talk in vague terms. It simply muddies things, but maybe that's the goal. I don't know.
And Gab, you wrote a piece for ESPN on the website suggesting that Article 17 gives Isak leverage here.
Yeah, so obviously you talk to 5 different lawyers, you get 5 different viewpoints, but several that I trust, as well as simply reading the guidelines, which are interim guidelines after the Diarra ruling, but they go more and more in the direction of players than clubs. As FIFA tries to come back, FIFA have already been sued by people saying that they don't go far enough towards complying with European law on freedom of movement. Is that at the end of the season, so he needs to have 3 continuous years in the same contract, which he has now. But Article 17, which is the unilateral breach, meaning he just walks out, that can only be invoked at the end of the season, so within 15 days of Newcastle's final game. And the interesting thing is, compared to the past, what has changed is there's no injunction, there's nothing. He walks out, he signs with another team, he can play straight away. Newcastle can then pursue him for compensation, but that compensation doesn't come for another 18 to 24 months. And what I've been told is the way the compensation is calculated, and this was always the big risk. Greg, you remember the Matusalem case years ago, which is kind of what scared people off. Is basically calculated based on the residual value left on his contract, based on the wages left on his contract, based on his age, based on his performance. But I've been told it's going to be in the 50 to 60 million range, most likely. Could be more, could be less. It's simply because that is kind of the direction of travel. And remember, you can say, well, Newcastle turned around 110 million now. Yeah, but in a year's time, what's it going to be? So it's just a risk. And I think this is what emboldens Isak to essentially behave the way he does. Because I hate to say it, I don't care what promises people make to you verbally. Let's be very clear about this, Isak. You're acting unprofessional. You're acting unprofessionally. Yeah? Do we agree on this?
Yeah.
And the only way he can do this is because he has this threat hanging over the club. My guess is this still ends, but I'm not confident about this at all, with him signing a new deal with a player-friendly release clause, and they do the whole prodigal son thing. If not, it gets even uglier. Meanwhile, Jules, speaking of ugly, it's really ugly between Johan Wisa and Brentford too. And he, of course, is one guy who's been linked to Newcastle to replace Isak.
Yeah, I mean, to replace Isak, more to replace Callum Wilson, I think. And Newcastle is still wanting another. Yeah.
Johan doesn't appreciate that. Why can't
no. Johan is my guy. He's from Paris. So Paris born and bred. But no, this is the fact. They would need they would
replaces
look for,
the injured guy on the bench. Okay.
No, the guy who left the
I'm joking,
yeah,
I'm
but
joking,
like
I'm
you know,
joking.
still,
Yeah.
but that's why they offered 40 million for him. Brentford won 60. You can think that 60 is a lot of money, too much for Wisa. But he also believed that he had an agreement with Brentford that they would let him go if the right offer came on the table, and now
And
he's
he has
not
a year
happy.
left on his contract.
Yeah, exactly.
That's very bold from Brentford to ask 60 million for a guy with a year left.
That's why I think this will be sorted out in between. But for now, he's really, really not happy. And Brentford, I guess, have decided on the direction that they want to take in this, and they can't really change now. So, be interesting to follow.
I would not spend that on somebody who has a year left on his deal.
Yeah. After being named captain, Romero gets a contract extension to 2029 with Tottenham and becomes the highest paid player. Sorry, I guess Gab, Thomas Frank really likes him.
Yeah, or Daniel Levy, Fabio Paratici, maybe. One of those guys evidently does. I think this is way over the top to give him everything with a new coach who's just arrived.
Yeah.
I mean, what did he show in I mean, let's not forget everything that happened before with Romero. But obviously, I hope it's a Thomas Frank decision. This is the kind of thing that should be a Thomas Frank decision. Jules, we're not done because we have more quick hits.
Yes.
Most assumed Eberechi Eze was on his way to Tottenham rather than Arsenal. But Jules, how could a Kai Havertz injury have changed all that?
Yeah, I think he played a bit in it. The fact that Kai Havertz, and we don't know yet exactly for how long he will be out. If it's a long injury, if it's a mid injury or a short injury, we don't know yet. It's not looking great, to be honest.
It's a knee.
Yeah, I think they wanted Eze before, obviously. I think Eze wanted to come to Arsenal as an Arsenal fan, a former Arsenal Academy player. The fact that Arsenal had to sell first before being able to match the offer from Spurs was a bit of a problem. But they decided that they could speed that up, made that offer, and between the two, there was just never a match for Eze, I think. And for Palace, it's the same. Whether you get the money from Tottenham or Arsenal, doesn't change anything for them. So here he is on his way to the Emirates.
What I find interesting about Eze is, and this applies to both clubs, he's not walking into a starting position. At Spurs, we said they have a ton of winger attacking midfielder types, despite even Maddison's injury. And at Arsenal, it's the same thing. Because you're competing with, I mean, if we assume Odegaard and Saka will generally always play in the base lineup, as will Declan Rice, you know, you're competing for essentially one spot if you want to come in from the left with Martinelli, with Trossard, who looks like he's not getting a longer contract, but he's getting a little bit more money. So there's belief in him. With Madueke, with Ethan Ranieri, sticks around. That is a lot. That is a lot. But I also understand this guy who has such an incredible backstory. He's been around just about every club in London at one point or another. He wants to challenge himself and back himself at a Champions League club. So good luck to him.
Yeah. Back to Rasmus Højlund, Gabby. He's become an option for Napoli now after the Romelu Lukaku's muscular injury, which has ruled him out until the new year.
Yeah, so first of all, I feel really bad for Lukaku.
Yeah.
It is a muscular injury. He could have had surgery or he could have had treatment. If he has surgery, he would have missed most of the season. So he's opted for the treatment. That, however, means he's not going to be back until December, which is why he's not going in the Champions League squad or the Serie A squad. All of a sudden, they veered hard towards Rasmus Højlund. What I don't follow here so much, if Højlund didn't want to move to Milan because he only wants a permanent deal, how's Naples different? I mean, I guess Napoli have Champions League football, but the alternative is Artem Dovbyk. Right now, all they have is Lorenzo Luca, who is an extremely large man, even bigger than Lukaku.
Yeah.
But I think Conte likes to have an alternative. United are trying to find a home, not just for Højlund, but Alejandro Garnacho too. So there's interest from Bayern and, of course, Chelsea. The story goes on forever.
It goes on forever, Gabby. You're right. I mean, Bayern's still looking for a left winger that they, in a way, are fine with Diaz, but they need another one. So we'll talk about that even further later with another player they linked with. Alexandro Garnacho wants Chelsea. Okay, great. But Chelsea are offering less money than what United want, but United are not in a strong position because everybody knows that they want Garnacho out and he's not even in the squad and he's not even playing. So that doesn't put United in a strong position at all. I still think this could happen to Chelsea, but they just need to find an agreement.
Garnacho, another Article 17 eligible candidate next June, by the way.
Yeah.
Isn't it fun? Remember that picture that they all took under your second Eric Ten Hag reference of the show, where you had Garnacho, Højlund, and Kobe Mainoo.
Yeah.
And now you got two guys who are pariahs at the club, and the third guy is somewhere on the bench.
We
at
don't
the end
know
of the
where.
bench.
Yeah, at the end of the bench. Yeah. And it would not be Chelsea, Gabby, if they were not wheeling and dealing. Renato Veiga is off to Villarreal. Well, good for him. While Julio Enciso is on his way from Brighton via a stop in Strasbourg, as you do.
As you do if you're Chelsea. 22 million plus 5 in bonus to Renato Veiga. I think this is really good business.
Really
I think
good.
the guy has an upside. He's just not going to get it at
Yeah,
Chelsea.
yeah.
And Ciso's a player I love. Just seems like they're just adding players, but we won't see him at Chelsea for a while.
Juventus have to shift a ton of players before the window closes. Gab, I bet they're delighted they managed to send Douglas Luiz back to England to Nottingham Forest.
Yeah, last season he's made just 3 starts.
Yeah.
And it's not like he was unfit because he was on the bench. I think he came off the bench 22 times in Serie A alone. And let's not forget, the club made such a big to-do about signing Douglas Luiz. So clearly there was a breakdown. He didn't play with either manager, Thiago Motta or Igor Tudor. Make of that what you want. And on top of that, you had that whole bizarro, mega complicated Arrobarena, Ealing Jr., blah, blah. I'm glad he gets to play.
Yeah.
Because it's obvious Tudor doesn't like him or likes him about as much as Motta did, which isn't very much. Yeah. I hope Juve fans go and direct some of their bile for this and some of the many stupid things that happened towards Mr. Giuntoli, because I think people need to be accountable. Yeah. And he's the guy who was in charge. You cannot blame this on Andrea Agnelli. You cannot blame this on you can blame a lot on Motta. But this is the guy who did this.
Yeah.
I don't know. There was a really good player in there after a year of being treated like this and performing like this and maybe getting a little bit more round. I don't know. But Juve will be very happy if a year from now they can get... it's an obligation to buy 30 million reportedly based on appearances. So curious to see how often he gets off the bench.
Yeah. From one winger to another, Gabby, Leon Bailey is officially a Roma player.
Yes, and very much in the Bailey playbook. I'm sorry, this is really mean, but crikey. He arrives and he's like, yeah, we got Leon Bailey, yes, loan obligation to buy, fantastic. And then his first training session, the guy gets injured again.
Yeah.
So we've kind of seen this happen before. The Roma fan base, Rome Radio, you're not super excited about Leon Bailey because guess what? They have the internet too. And they said like, okay, this guy's decent player, but they brought in Asensio and Rashford last year. And, when we watched Villa play, the guys who were good were Morgan Rogers and McGinn and Asensio. Not this dude. Yeah. This guy was sitting at the end of the bench. But, so the club spun the tale that, I have no idea if this story's true. I'm assuming it's true, that Leon Bailey's best friend is Jadon Sancho.
Okay.
Did you know this? It was news to me.
No. Yeah, me
but
too.
They made it seem as where Bailey goes, Sancho will follow. What happened? Sancho says no. Sancho says no to everybody.
Yeah.
I have no idea what the Jadon Sancho long-term game plan is, but it doesn't appear to involve Roma.
No.
Although, I don't know, maybe they'll up their offer for Sancho. Maybe he'll rethink it because if Bailey's injured, you can go and hang out with
I guess so.
And take Bailey's minutes. Why not? Galatasaray are busy raiding Manchester City, meanwhile. 15 million euro offer for Manuel Akanji, 10 million euro offer for Ederson. It's kind of weird. It wasn't that long ago that these guys are absolute mainstays in fact, it was 2 seasons back, right? That they won the Champions League.
Yeah, exactly.
And they won the 6-2 or they won the treble anyway.
Yeah, completely. Yeah, and Ederson instrumental in what Pep Guardiola has been doing at City for his profile. We mentioned that enough when we talked about Donnarumma. Akanji, versatility in defense, can play centre back, even right back 3, back 4, anything you want. Very smart player that again fits very well what Guardiola is doing at the club. But Guardiola also says my squad is too big. I need players out. I can't leave players at home on a match day, which I can understand. That's decent money, I think, for Akanji at his age.
And with his contract situation as well.
Contract situation for both of them. And I guess Akanji won't be replaced because they've got enough defenders. But certainly for Ederson, then that makes way for Donnarumma. So,
you believer? Are you not a believer? Did you do the Donnarumma thing?
No. Well, it will happen because they're the only one for him and they want him. I don't understand why they want him because he doesn't fit what they do. But it's the only club that wants him. So that's the only place he can go. He's not going to stay. So,
Wasn't he a key player on a team that became... I forget what the team is, but they won the Champions League last year.
Yeah.
They're pretty good. Yeah.
But what do you mean?
Donnarumma. He was a key player on the team. Made some big saves on the team.
No, but he's not going to stay
But
in
what was
Paris
the
when
team?
he's not going to play.
No, I'm joking. No. But
No,
I'm
I
saying
know,
about
but
why they
it's-
would want him, not why he's going to stay in Paris, right?
Yeah, no, they want him
It's just
because
a
he's the
different
best
profile.
on his line. But yeah,
Could
his
it be that
profile
maybe,
doesn't suit the Premier League
unlike
or
Luis
Manchester City.
Enrique, that maybe Pep is more comfortable with goalkeepers with different types of profiles if they... I don't know. It seems weird. It seems weird to me too for the money, because this is De Bruyne money, right? That he wants, right? That's the part that doesn't fully fit for me.
Yeah.
On the other hand, the guy's 26 years old. You get a goalkeeper who can be a top-level goalkeeper for the next 10 years.
Yeah, no, sure,
you lock it
sure.
up.
Yeah. Ben Doak has moved to Bournemouth from Liverpool on a £25 million deal, and Kostas Tsimikas looks also on his way out.
We always say this, that the great directors of football are good at selling, or I probably don't say that. You're good at transferring players out for a fee. Ben Doak is a guy I really, really liked. I don't know if there's some sort of buyback or whatever involved. It's interesting to me that Slot doesn't think that he can be part of the forward rotation, or that maybe he shouldn't be part of it. Because let's face it, Liverpool are down a striker. Right? Or down a forward.
Yeah,
if you want to use that
forward,
word.
yeah.
And I think Federico Chiesa, most people would have thought that he would be moving on as well. Now, I don't know if he's going to end up staying because they need a body, right?
Yeah.
So I'm guessing Slot doesn't think that he's going to be, maybe his ceiling is what it is. But I thought he looked really, really good. Tsimikas as well, they're going to raise money for. And as of right now, we talked about how much they spent. The numbers are 270 million out, 200 million in. They'll get some money, a little bit of money for Tsimikas, maybe even Elliott at some point. I'm not saying they're going to come close to
more than
breaking.
200 million, but yeah, it's pretty much balanced out. Yeah?
Well, when you consider that last season they didn't spend anything, so or almost nothing. So well done, Liverpool there. Curious, of course, whether they end up pulling the Isak trigger.
Yeah.
And I think they still need to spend money on Gay, right?
Yeah, as well, yeah.
We had the first legs of the Champions League qualifiers, Jules. And it's a very rough night for the Glaswegian club.
Yes.
Rangers and your hero, Russell Martin, lose at home to Bruges.
Yeah.
And Mr. Champions League, Hans Van Aken.
Of course.
That's 3-1. While Celtic are held 0-0 by something called Kairat from Kazakhstan.
Yeah, Almaty, if you want even to put it like that, who defended well in this game. For Rangers, they did everything but defend well. They were 3-0 down after 29 minutes, 26 minutes. Horrendous defending. And then Russell Martin blaming everybody but himself for the defeat, which I found really strange. When you just arrived, it's the fans' fault, it's the club's fault. It's been tough for them for years and years and years, so there's nothing I can do.
He said they had one good season in the last 15 years.
Yeah. Wow, okay.
In Europe,
Thank you,
they've
Russell.
had decent results, by the way, Russell.
Yeah, and also, and it's not because they haven't won the title before that. It was obviously a bad season either. Yes, it's better if you win the title. But yeah, so I'm not sure. Obviously, both games now, second leg will be away from home. In Kazakhstan, long way to go for Celtic. In Belgium, with the back against the wall, certainly for Rangers. I don't know. I don't see either of them qualifying. I guess Celtic in slightly better position, but it won't be easy to go to Kazakhstan.
I think if Bruges qualify, I think Solis is staying, which I think is also a big
maybe
deal
as
for
well.
those transfer market watchers.